What is going on, Eye Warriors? So today we're going to talk about some 1 meal a day strategies to help you burn fat effectively. Without any further ado, let's just jump right into it. All right, so 1 meal a day, one of my favorite intermittent fasting regimens to use, and one that I know a lot of my viewers use as well. I've used multiple variations of doing 1 meal a day. I've done the warrior diet and mixed it together, and I call it the OMAD diet, where I can eat within a 4-hour window, but I usually eat just one meal within those 4-hour windows. Whatever the case may be, there are smart ways to use OMAD so that you can be as efficient as possible. And here are my tips for how to effectively use OMAD. Tip number 1, make sure to actually eat later rather than earlier. Now, I know early time restricted feeding has been seen to have many positive results as opposed to eating later. But as I've always said, those positive results are negligible when compared to your sustainability factor. How long can you continuously do this until you have to stop? And hopefully we could put you in a position where you do not have to stop and you can do this as long as possible. Now, for some people, waking up and eating is a much better proposition than eating later during the day. But I will say this, when you wake up, you tend to be not as hungry. Even if you fell asleep hungry, for some reason, when you wake up, your body has somewhat relaxed, has somewhat reset itself. And a lot of the different hormonal things that had made you feel hungry before you went to sleep isn't really kicking right now as you're waking up. You can use that to your advantage. Plus, most of the time, you're going to start to do something. You're going to start going to work, or you're going to start doing something that involves being preoccupied. When you are preoccupied, especially with work or with school, you're also not super hungry or focused on eating because you're focusing on something else. Now, this breaks your hunger focus and helps you have an easier setup for not eating earlier. Now, after all of that stuff where you were preoccupied, maybe around 3 or 4 o'clock or even 5 o'clock, then you can eat your 1 meal a day. And when you eat this 1 meal a day, whatever time it is, let's say it's 5 o'clock, you only have about 5 to 6 more hours before you go to sleep again and restart the process. This puts you in a very good, cushiony location within the 24-hour time frame where you're not eating so early and you feel hungry for the rest of the day, and you're not eating so late and you've been hungry the rest of the day. You do it during a really good time where you more than likely were just preoccupied. You didn't feel hungry in the morning. You were preoccupied during the early afternoon, and then you ate late afternoon. This can definitely help you sustain your 1 meal a day regimen for a very, very long time. All right, now let's go ahead and move into tip number 2. Make sure that your 1 meal a day is hearty and satiating, which means it makes you feel satisfied. It makes you feel like you've eaten a good meal. If you have something flimsy, it's going to be devastating over time. You're going to feel like you can eat a little bit more. Well, maybe let me get, another snack here or there because I didn't really eat much during my 1 meal a day. And that can spell disaster for your intermittent fasting regimen. The best thing to do is to ensure that you have an adequate amount of protein. I recommend that you have more protein on your plate than any other macronutrient. So whatever your calorie breakdown is, make sure that the higher percentage of the calorie breakdown on your plate is protein, because protein is very, very satiating. It's super satisfying. When you eat protein, you actually feel satisfied without having to go over on your calories. Now, when you eat simple carbohydrates and processed carbohydrates like chips and stuff like that, you can eat a bunch of those things with so much calories and still not feel satisfied. So it's much more important to eat higher quality foods and foods like protein that make you feel satisfied, but also provide less calories so that you can reach your weight loss or weight maintenance goals. And tip number 3, make sure that when you are doing resistance training exercise, not cardio, but when you're doing resistance training exercise, so that you can be as optimal as possible, you are eating before your exercise. This is going to help you perform at your best when you're in the gym, because you're going to build up glycogen, especially since we've been doing intermittent fasting and you've been doing 1 meal a day. If you go into a workout where your glycogen is depleted, you're not going to have all of this quick energy that can fuel your muscle. You can actually help deplete glycogen buildup via your resistance training, because your muscles are going to require that energy. But it also helps you if you're taking in protein before you work out. It's going to assist you with the workout itself. It's going to provide that energy for you. Now, notice that I said for resistance training, because this is not needed for cardio, for running, for biking, whatever it is. You don't necessarily need to eat, but I would highly recommend, especially since you're doing OMAD, to ensure that you are doing your exercise that requires resistance training after you've consumed your food that can help power that resistance training exercise. And OMAD makes this situation very, very unique, because you're literally only eating that one time. So yes, although there isn't actually a golden rule where you need to eat before you work out, that's the case for most people who eat on a consistent basis. With 1 meal a day, you're only eating that one time in the entire day. Maximize and optimize your usage of 1 meal a day, especially when it comes to resistance training. Hopefully this video has helped you guys. And of course, as always, I'll see you in the next one. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in another video, which is tomorrow. Peace out, guys.